I was holding back the tears.
Really?
He's a real success story from, coming up as, Black person in Ohio, and all of the friends and the drugs. And now he's a landlord, and, he owns property and rents to people. And he started a comedy scene, and he's a
Wow.
booker. And he had his daughter kill herself in front of him.
Oh,
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. And on the other side of it, though, I was so glad that the minute I saw him, I knew he had a story, and that if he just told it, it could inspire.
that's on your page, huh?
Yeah, it's really worth watching. Really worth watching. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps himself. Made it.
Interesting.
Quite a guy. So now he's a touring road comic. So good for him.
Well, what's his name? I might know.
Neff Johnson.
No.
Yeah, quite a guy. Ah, every once in a while you get something that's so heartwarming, you just like, whoa.
Yeah.
So Steven Springer's here, you guys. He's a Chicago comedian, booker, you name it. This guy is out slaying the scene by booking people, by being a performer, extraordinaire. I'm going to read the intro, and then we're going to get to talk to him. So thank you all for coming on and watching. And I understand 99% of you watch it like voyeurs in the bushes. You don't come on when it's happening. And I'm okay with that. What do I care? I can only handle talking to him. I can't handle also answering in the chat. So I'm okay with it. So let me read you the intro we have for my esteemed guest today, who took time out of his schedule so you could get to know him, like him, follow him, and help his career, because he's been out helping other people's careers. So now's your chance. Here we go. Let me put on my old lady glasses. Steven J. Springer is a native Chicagoan. He started his comedy career while living in Indianapolis. We have to hear about that. He has a deadpan delivery and self-deprecating style reminiscent to his idol, Rodney Dangerfield. He has performed throughout Chicagoland, including Zanies and Laugh Factory, as well as clubs throughout the country. In his 55 years, now we know his age, in his 55.
I said 59 now. That's real old.
Oh my gosh, I just lied. He's 59. In his 59 years, he has lived a life that was meant to be talked about on stage, including his family and multiple jobs, such as a correctional officer. He is a well-defined character, like his favorite Chicago comedian and mentor, Uncle Larry Reeb. I want to hear about this. Seamlessly, Steven J. Springer glides from one-liner to another. I want to hear about that. He delivers punchline after punchline. Well, folks, this is your opportunity. Here we go. Welcome to the stage, the one and only person on here today, the one and only Steven J. Springer. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great, Steven. How are you?
Okay, thanks. I just want to let you know that bio is kind of old. I have, in addition to Larry Reeb, I got a couple other guys that have been big mentors who really helped me out a lot.
Oh, really? Who are the other ones?
Harry Hickstein and Bill Gorgo. I got to mention them because they've been helping me a lot lately.
Harry Hickstein, and who was the other one?
Bill Gorgo, Gorgo.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so very much.
I don't want them to feel left out.
No. Why don't you start off by talking about all your mentors, and then we'll go into your life.
Okay, who do you want me to start with?
Start with how you were mentored in some fashion about Rodney Dangerfield. I want to hear that.
Well, first got me wanting to do comedy was Rodney. And then when I started going on the local scene to the local clubs, I really liked Larry Reeb. So I started following him, and he started giving me some advice. And then as time went on, I picked up Bill Gorgo because he was teaching the Zanies. their comedy class. So I started working with him privately, and then I met Harry Hickstein, who's really been a big help to me. And I talk to all the time, and they all help me out a lot, move up quicker.
That's so fabulous. So in somewhere in your life, you had conversations with Rodney Dangerfield?
No, I wish. I mean, no, he was been gone about 20 years almost before he started. I went to his club in New York City though.
When you went there, did you go up on stage and do some time?
No, they don't have a showcase or an open mic. It was a book show, and they didn't know me. If they knew me, they might have given me a guest spot, but they didn't know me, so I didn't get to do it. Would have been an honor to be on that stage.
Yes, absolutely. I got to do 5 minutes at Dangerfield, and there was 4 people in the audience.
Really?
I
I bet they
bombed.
all laughed real hard.
Huh?
I bet they all laughed real hard.
No, they laughed, but my material really needed to be more relatable to everybody at the time. Now I've got relatable material, but back then I didn't. I was all about, you got to get to know me, and that doesn't always relate.
So you were a rookie comedian back then, huh?
Yeah, it was 5 years ago. I've only been in this 9 years, so now I got much better material.
Same here.
Exactly. Well, talk to me about Harry Hickstein and you, and also Mr. Gorgo. Is it Bill Gorgo?
Yes.
I want to hear those
Uh,
connections.
Harry, I met at I think at a comedy or at a comedy club many years ago, and I talk to him all the time, and he gives me so much advice on how to get better, and it gives me a lot of material tags. I write my own material, but he gives me tags to add on to my material. Bill Gorgo was my first comedy coach. I started with him about 10 years ago.
Well,
And,
tell me something you learned from Bill Gorgo in his comedy class that stuck with you and has helped you.
Maybe not to trying to structure of a joke, how to cut out the fat, unnecessary words. You don't want things to be too wordy.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And I notice when people are too wordy, and I think it's so amazing that if you watch them, you'll hear them trimming the fat as they go on in their career. It's kind of
Right.
interesting to watch that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got to be a wordsmith to be a comedian.
Yes, absolutely. Well, so let's go back into way back in your life. What were you like as a little kid in your home life? Like how many siblings? What were your parents and grandparents? What was that formative years? Who were you? Did you make everybody laugh as a kid?
No, actually, as a kid, I was the opposite. I was very shy and introverted, and I wasn't a class clown. I was real shy and didn't have many friends.
It's so great. I love this. These answers are all over the board, and I love each one of them. So you were very introverted. And so how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Growing up, I had one of each, and then as I got older, I had a half brother and half sister. I grew up with a brother and a sister.
Okay. And were you in the middle?
The youngest.
The youngest. Well, so you were quiet, you were introverted, and at what point did you start coming out of your shell? Was that in school, or how did you come out of your shell? Let's talk a little about coming out of your shell and growing up and through school.
When I got older, I started becoming a bartender, and I met people, and then I worked at the jail, and I had to be more outward. So I came out of my shell.
What was that? Now, what was your job? Parole officer?
No, correctional officer, jail guard, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
I worked in the Cook County Jail.
What in the world? My goodness. What do you have a lot of jokes about that or stories? How do you bring that into your comedy, or do you?
I do. I have about 7 to 8 minutes of jail material.
Fabulous.
So many funny things happen there.
Really?
Yeah.
So I can't wait to hear these when I get to Chicago. I'll get to hear these live from you.
Oh, you'll hear them. Yeah.
Yes.
You're coming in July, right?
I'll be in town the 12th and leave on the 16th, the 17th after the show. Yeah, I'll be there for 5 nights.
Great. I can't wait to meet you.
Likewise. So how is it that a quiet, introverted person with a brother and a sister, and later on some half siblings, how did you wind up working in the prison or the jail?
Growing up, I always wanted to become a cop, and that's the best, closest thing I could get to it at the time. But I didn't realize it was all wrong for me. Later, now I realize it's the wrong choice. I didn't fit in, and I didn't belong there.
You feel it was the wrong choice in what?
It was the wrong job choice for me. I didn't fit in. I didn't have the right personality for it. You got to be real mean and bring out your inner meanness, or whatever you want to say. You got to be mean to be a correctional officer.
I couldn't do it. How long were you a correctional officer?
14 and a half years.
Thank you so much for doing that. That's such a difficult job.
How I lasted that long, I don't know, but I made it.
Yes. I was a banker for 24 years, and that in that job, you're using the left side of your brain. And
Yeah.
I was miserable the whole time, miserable.
And you stayed there that long, huh?
Whole time I was thinking up jokes, and I didn't even know that I shouldn't be in that field.
Same here. I thought 14 and a half was a long time to be in the wrong field, but you were 20, 24, huh?
Yeah, long time. I'm a slow learner.
Same here.
Yeah. Back in our day, and I'm older than you, but it used to be, the fact used to be that people would get jobs and stay with jobs no matter what. And then it was also looked down upon to leave a job.
Right.
So, yeah, but nowadays it's all about happiness. So if you're not
Right.
happy in your job, you go get yourself another job.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. We never had that luxury. So, okay, so when you're a little kid in school, you took your introvert status to school. And did you ever come up with funny things to say in school, or not at all?
Not at all. I was very quiet. I was afraid to go up and perform and talk to people.
Got it. And so did you ever, as you grew up and after grade school and high school, even in high school, you stayed quiet?
Well, here's the weird thing. Even though I was quiet around the kids, I had the nerve to go to be a groupie. I went to rock groups, hotels, and met all these rock stars. I didn't have a problem with that, but I was just talking to my friends and family, or front people at school.
So you would go to rock concerts or rock places where there were rock bands and get to know them and the people?
Yeah, I think I went to concerts, but I also hung out outside the hotels and met these guys coming in and out. I got all kinds of pictures and stories.
Oh, I want to see some of this. So then out of your rock star days, where you're kind of like Clark Kent, where you're putting on a superpower suit and going and meeting these people and getting pictures, who you got on today?
Say it again.
What t-shirt do you have on? You were showing me your t-shirt.
Oh, St. Louis Blues, the Blues Museum in St. Louis.
Wow.
I'm a big blues fan too.
You are, my gosh. Well, I'm from Portland, Oregon. We have a big blues scene there.
Oh, really?
Blues festival every year on the waterfront and that kind of thing. Yeah. I love blues music. Love it. So who are some of the groups you've gotten pictures with? Rock groups or any kind? Any
All
genre?
of them. Anybody that came to Chicago between 1978 and 1983. Aerosmith, The Who, The Stones. I was supposed to meet Led Zeppelin, but the drummer died a couple months before they came to town. Yes, Chicago. Anybody that was big. Journey.
Oh my. Who is your favorite and why?
Probably Aerosmith, because I got to know them real well. They were in town for 3 weeks, and I went down every day to meet them. And when they came back to town, they recognized me and gave me passes and took me to the show in their limo. Steven Tyler, I got pictures.
Oh my gosh, that's so school. He like, you can tell that he's a great guy. You
Oh,
got to
yeah.
experience.
He,
that.
he,
Did you-
uh, he recognized me, said, you again.
Guess what I did? I had a job at the Portland airport right after college. I worked
Yeah.
at the gift shop, and I would go around and pay. I would bribe the sky caps, people that take your luggage. I would bribe them to tell me who the VIPs were that were coming to the airport that day. And I got to meet, in a year at the airport, I met so many celebrities.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the place to meet him, the airport. They have to fly in.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite was Raquel Welch.
Oh, really? She just died too.
Yes, she did.
Did you get any autographs or pictures or anything?
You know, over the years, I did, and I lost them through different moves, but
Right.
I always have been enamored by famous people. And so everywhere I've gone and I've made sure that I found out who was in town, from the taxi driver, the airport, and I've met pages of celebrities, pages. So you and I have that in common.
Yeah, interesting childhood. To meet these stars and be too shy to talk to in front of class or people.
Yes, that's a very interesting dynamic, that personally you're very shy and yet you have no problem going out and meeting celebrities and getting to know them. So having done that, did that increase your, I don't know, confidence to come out of your shell more?
Maybe a little bit, not much, but no, I mean a little bit.
What is it that was the catalyst in your life, Stephen, that got you from being introverted to going on stage and facing rejection, possible rejection?
When I worked at the jail, I had a lot of funny stories, and I would tell people at parties, family, and they enjoyed them so much. I figured I could do that, And then I started going to comedy clubs. I'm like, I could do that.
Absolutely. I once went to a comedy club and I was on stage 2 weeks later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be on stage, but there was a guy up there and he was bombing, and how like you're bombing, you tell a joke and you're bombing and you go, oh God, that just bombed. He was saying his feelings into the microphone, Stephen.
You saying
And
it's what?
he was saying how he felt about his jokes not working. He was saying it into the microphone. And, he said, I'm just going to go home and kill myself. And I was sitting there, and I'm not a heckler, but this seemed so out of character for him to do that. I just said, just make fun of us Jews. And he started making fun of the Jews, and the place was dying laughing.
Was he Jewish himself?
No, he was like Asian.
Well, that's weird, because usually when you make fun of another race or religion, people get mad and offended.
Yeah, but they were so glad that he had quit putting himself down, and I'd given him permission to talk about my Jewish people, and something about that made the audience just root for him.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so fun. And then I thought, if I can do that sitting down, I guess maybe I should get up and try comedy.
Yeah, I like to make fun of my people too. I'm Jewish also, and I got a lot of Jewish jokes.
Yes, I love Jewish jokes told by Jewish people, or if they give you permission. Yes. Will I get to hear some of your Jewish jokes when I come to Chicago?
Yeah, I'll do those for you, and I'll do the jail stuff, whatever you want. I've actually got a half hour, 40 minutes of material, but I've never done that much at one time. So, I've never done it. So I got to try it sometime when I get the chance.
Absolutely. I can't wait. So talk to me about going up on stage and doing comedy, and how, other than the people who have helped you, like Mr. Gorgo, Harry Hickstein, and being inspired by the late great Rodney Dangerfield, talk to me about any of your experiences that have been fabulous being on stage in comedy.
You mean my most memorable moments? Probably
Yes.
my first paid gig. It
Yes,
was actually an urban club, and it was the first club to hire me. I don't know if you heard of Jokes and Notes.
yes.
That was the first club to hire me, and I did pretty well. They liked me there, and that's probably probably my favorite gig. This is my first.
I love that.
And
I got hired to do an urban audience. I was told it was urban, and they said it was going to be a pimps and hoes night. So I wrote a bunch of material just for that audience, and I get there and it's white people dressed up as pimps and hoes.
I bet it still went over real good.
It did. They were in a good mood, and it's hard when people are coming to have a good time. It's really hard. It's hard for your material not to go well if they're there
Right.
to really laugh. Yeah, there is a great audience. And that was the first time I got paid, just like
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the first
So,
time you get paid, the most memorable.
yeah.
Not
I
about
was
the money, it's about the prestige.
It feels so good to me. What is it in your life that made you want to make people laugh, other than you have a lot of good stories? Why do you care that people laugh and that you book people to come and make people laugh? Where's that come from, Stephen?
Just it feels good to me to laugh, and I figure if it makes me feel good and happy, then it'll make other people.
That's a very good answer. Sure does.
That's what it's about, not the money. The money isn't that much, but the making people laugh means a lot.
That's true. True passion right there. And if you folks didn't hear what he just said, if you're in this business for the money, you're missing all the joy. Because the joy, the passion, if your passion is connected to just seeing people transform from things that bother them to just being in the moment laughing with you, that you're missing the whole purpose of comedy. That's how I feel. I think
Yeah,
that's true passion there. I mean, it's great to make money, right? But
right.
if you're in it just for the money, you're missing a heck of a lot of the fun.
And they say if you do what makes you happy, the money will follow.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that. You know, when we start out in comedy, we might be doing a lot of years not getting paid. And then when you start getting your paid, you're like, really? I can get paid? I'm gonna get paid? He's really gonna
Yeah.
pay me? Yeah. Yeah. So you've been doing booking and doing shows in Chicago, and that must feel wonderful.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the booking too. Yeah, it's wonderful, and I like to go whenever I go on vacation. It's a working vacation because I'll perform at a
Say that again.
I said whenever I go on vacation, it's like a working vacation. I'll do comedy wherever I go.
That's fabulous. Where are some of your favorite vacations you've gone to, and where you did comedy?
New York City. I'm going there again in a couple of weeks. It's one of my favorite places. So many clubs there.
There are. I love that place. You're going in a couple weeks. I'm going to be there April 4th till May 7th.
You're just gonna miss me.
Oh,
Oh, you'll see me here.
yes, absolutely, in July.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Me too. Me too. So, what are some of the funniest things you've seen happen at some of your shows? Do you have a couple quick little fun stories or weird?
Um, it take me a while to think about that. I'm trying to think. Just getting people to roaring laughter, applause breaks. Those are my favorite things to remember.
That's
Okay.
I love your approach. You're just straight up the passion. The passion for the comedy comes through loud and clear. I love
I eat,
that.
I eat, breathe, and sleep comedy. That's all I think about is new material.
Absolutely. So, like, you have a regimen of every day writing more material?
Yeah, well, luckily I work at a day job that is actually a night job. I work the midnight shift as a doorman, front desk person at a high rise. I've got all night to read and write and rehearse. If I didn't have that job, I don't know if I'd have, when I would get all my rehearsing done.
Ah, absolutely.
But I basically get paid to do my comedy, at night.
That's fabulous. That's so fabulous. So do you ever practice your material on people that come through the door?
Yeah, some of the residents that know me, I'll do bits out on them, and I actually have a bit about that, about doing, I have a closed circuit camera on me at work. In my bit, I talk about, talk about doing it in front of the camera for the residents. And,
What are some of the best compliments you've gotten from the residents? I want to hear some people, how they reacted to coming through the door and hearing comedy.
well, some of them come to my shows, and I don't really, when they come in, I don't really do my material. I'll just, tell them what the joke's about or show them on paper or something. But I don't really prefer, stand up and perform in front of them. I'll practice in the mirror at night when there's nobody around, though.
Got it. Yeah, it's fun to practice in front of a mirror.
Yeah, because then you look at your reactions and, your mouth and stuff.
Yes. And it's really good practice. One of the things I knew about myself is I was avoiding eye contact with people in the audience. And when I started practicing in front of a mirror, I got beyond avoiding eye contact with people.
Yeah, that's very important. I'm just learning that myself. You got to make eye contact with the people in the front row.
Yes.
And then when you tell them a punchline, narrow in on one person.
Say that again?
When you're telling a punchline, narrow in on one person, one set of eyes, I think that's important. One set of eyes. You look at one person when you tell the punchline.
Really?
That's what I've heard. That's what I do. I mean, it seems to work.
Wow, I never heard that before. I'm going to try that.
I think, I forgot the comedian, the heavy guy that died a few years ago. You know what I'm talking about? If I remember his name, I'll let you know. But he said that you gotta move around, and then when you tell him the punchline, narrow, and quit moving your head and look at one person.
I believe that. I bet it comes across a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that nugget. Every once in a while, I hear something really great. That's one of them. I'm going to try that. So what kind of advice do you have for people that are coming up in comedy? Like you're a booker of a good show at Laugh Factory. What are some things that people should not do and should do in general? Not necessarily with you, but what are some mistakes people make when they want to get booked? I bet you got a long list of things.
Good video. You don't want a video where you're bombing. You want a video with a lot of laughter. And don't be a pain to the booker. Just be persistent. And I'm trying to think. What was the question again? I mean, just what should people do when they're trying to get booked?
Yeah, you're answering it very well. What are some of the common mistakes and common things, like what makes a booker pick a comic and what makes them not? So you've answered a little bit of that. If you have any more, great. Any more information about what to do and what not to do when you're trying to get booked?
Well, be persistent, but don't be a pest, and keep in touch with the booker, because sometimes we forget, or if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Be persistent, and send a good video, and keep in touch.
I love that.
Don't take things personally. There's so many people reaching out. We can't book everybody.
Yes, absolutely. So, when you book people, I would think that it would have like an effect that they'll turn around and want to book you when you come to their city. Have you noticed some of that?
Yeah, that works. You help somebody out and they'll do the same for you.
Absolutely. When you go to different cities and different clubs, do you instinctively know if this is a good club for you to perform in or not?
I I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever gone to a club where it wasn't a good club. I mean, comedy's comedy. If you're funny, you're funny.
I love that. I kind of felt you were going to answer that way. So, yeah, that falls in
Most
line
clubs
with,
are welcoming. Most clubs are welcoming and they're happy to have an out of towner.
yes, that's so fabulous. The way they have room for a certain few or mostly out of towners, or it might be a club that only puts one out of towner up. It's
Right.
it's one or the other, but yeah, and when you walk in a club, you get a certain feel that makes you feel at home, and it makes you feel like yourself, where you feel like you can just be yourself more than usual. Have you had an experience at a club that made you feel so welcome more than anywhere else?
Um, Maybe when I was in Florida, Delray Beach or one of those cities out that way. But I felt very welcome and they were happy to have me and I felt good.
Yes, yes. What about hecklers? How do you handle hecklers?
I try to ignore them. I've never really had any. I just have people talking loud and I just talk over them.
That's
You,
great.
you don't want to get in an argument with an audience member because an audience might turn on you.
Exactly. You have so much knowledge from all your experience.
Thanks.
Yeah. What are some common mistakes people make when they come to a club to perform?
Common mistakes.
Yeah, have you seen some, without saying who or where it happened? Like, we know some of the common mistakes comedians make when they show up. They have maybe too many demands, or they're not they're not showing up on time. They don't check in with the host. They aren't cooperating in some way. What are some of the things that drive you up the wall that people do when they show up to perform, where you have to stop and worry or stop and take care of something that should have been handled?
Well, main one's being late and another one's being on your phone, not paying attention to the other comedians. You know,
I love that. I
when you
love
go
that you
up,
said that.
when you go up, you want to be able to riff off the other comedians and you got to watch them to know what to talk about. Plus, it's rude to sit there on your phone when someone's performing on stage.
So rude. So rude. It drives me crazy. And have you been in a show where 4 or 5 comedians say, "So are we have anybody from out of town?" And the host already handled it. Now
Right,
nobody paid attention, and everybody's asking the same question.
right. It's annoying.
It is from the people in the audience are who we're there to perform for, and when we do that, we look totally unprepared.
Right. You got to pay attention.
Yeah. So when you've been putting on shows and doing comedy, have some of the people in the audience become friends to you?
Yeah, yeah. I made friends with a lot of people. I make friends wherever I go, and that's what I like about it.
Yes. As if you leave yourself open to letting the audience members be more than just audience, they'll become some of your closest friends.
Right, right. And that's the case with me too.
Yeah, I love that element. It's so nice and surprising that, they're willing to get to know you off stage.
Right.
So how long did it take Stephen J. Springer to get to the point where you have a well-developed persona and you're authentically yourself on stage? Because a lot of times when we start out, we're putting on airs just to get people to laugh or saying this. And how long did it take you to figure out how deep you could go with your material and how real you could be on stage?
Last several years. In the beginning, I was just doing it kind of part-time on and off. I'd say a few years where I really started getting serious and developing my character and like you just said, developing my voice. It's like working out in the gym, you gotta do the reps.
Yes,
I go
absolutely.
4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to sign up at the gym and not show up to practice.
Right.
A lot of people, they come to comedy, they're attracted to it, but when they find out the commitment underneath it, they're not willing to go and commit to the commitment.
Right. Yeah, you have to be committed to it.
And you're very committed to the writing and the performing and the practicing.
Right.
Absolutely. So when you practice in front of a mirror.
Not always, but at work I do a lot of writing. I write all night long.
Yeah. So what type of things inspire you to write? Anything and everything, or certain?
Mostly stuff that's happened in my life. You know, it's like my biography. I think things pop into my head and then I write about them.
I love that. So what's your favorite topic to talk about? Of all the topics you have, which one did you kind of do and write for you?
Jail, probably. Keeps growing. It started out as a couple minutes and now it's up to like 7.
That's like my military comedy.
Yeah.
There's so much there. If you take, and the jail is a perfect topic because when you're talking about it, you're not punching down, like if somebody talks about when they were homeless, they have to be really careful that it doesn't come across like you're punching down to the homeless.
Right.
But if you're talking about the military or a jail or being a cop or, being a mayor, those kind of things, they're easier and you don't have to filter out and be cautious, not
Right.
punch down. Yeah. So you live in Chicago, and what is it about Steven Springer? What things are you interested in your life when you are not thinking about comedy? When you're just out grabbing a pizza or you're having a day off, how do you spend your time?
I like music. I like going to blues clubs and I love music. That's my second passion. If I wasn't a comedian, I'd probably be a musician.
Wow. What would you play if you were a musician, if you could?
Well, if I could, I'd play the bass because that's the most underrated instrument. Everybody wants to be a guitar player, a drummer, a singer. No one wants to play bass, and that'd be the easiest one to get work with.
And when you say bass, you mean the stringed instrument bass?
Bass guitar, yeah.
Bass guitar. Okay. All right. And so of all time, living and deceased, who's your favorite blues person or blues band?
Well, my favorite, he's not around anymore, was Otis Rush. He lived in my high rise. He was a disciple. He was like Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy, but he lives in my building. And I got to know him real well. In fact, he gave me a guitar. So I have to say that's my favorite.
What's his name again?
Otis Rush, Rush.
I have to look him up.
Yeah, he was well known. I mean, around the world, and he's from Chicago, and he lived in my high rise.
Who are some other famous people we would not know are from Chicago, but they're famous?
Well, I'm sure you heard of Buddy Guy. The band Chicago. I mean, that's obvious.
I never thought about it. It's not obvious.
But they're a bunch.
Who?
There's a bunch of them. I just can't think right off of my head.
That's okay. When you're walking around Chicago and you've put on tons of shows, when you're walking around Chicago, how often do people recognize you?
When I go to shows all the time, in fact, people recognize me that I don't recognize. They know me, but I don't know them. It feels good, but it all feels bad because I feel bad. I don't know who they are, but I try to fake it, pretend like I know who they are.
Yes. Yeah. I was getting groceries at the dollar store yesterday because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
And there was a lady there and she said, "Aren't you that comedian?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "I got to tell you, who are you? I'm not trying to act like a diva, but I don't remember how we met or nothing. I think it's important when, like, to just admit, because I've tried faking it, like, oh my gosh, it's you again. Hi. Then you feel even worse. But if it felt horrible that I didn't remember, but it felt a little bit better because I admitted it.
Right, maybe if you're honest, it's better than trying to cover it up.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But,
Yeah. So, what is it that you think that you bring to the stage that makes you unique?
my deadpan and just my yeah, my deadpanness, my monotone, and I guess that makes me unique.
Yes, I love deadpan monotone comedy. I love it. It cracks me up. I can't wait to hear it.
Thanks.
I'm the opposite.
Your high energy.
Yeah, well, pretty high energy, but like maybe once in a set, I have something to say with a throwaway tag that really gets the audience. And I do it with a straight face, but I'm pretty animated in my face, And um, so I try to vary up my voice. I work on having variations of my voice, and I have to applaud you for being able to do monotone with a straight face. That's
Thanks.
so hard.
Not for me, but it's what I'm used to. But
I can't wait to see it. There's so few comedians that can pull it off.
thanks.
Yeah, it's an art. It's an art form all by itself. So Rodney Dangerfield was a big influence. But before we get out of here or close out, I just want to know, who are some other deadpan comedians that you admired? Maybe not as much as Rodney, but like I can think of Jack Benny. He kind of had a monotone delivery, slow.
Steve Wright,
Yes.
and trying to think who else is deadpan. Can't think of off the hand, but there's a lot of comedians I like. I don't know if they're deadpan, but
It's when like somebody told me, if you want to know if your jokes are really good,
yeah.
come out, sit down on the stool and tell them with a monotone and a straight face, and you'll find out how good your jokes are. Have you ever heard that before?
No, it's interesting. So you're saying sit down and do it instead of standing up.
Yeah. And do it with a monotone like you do and a straight face like you do. And you find out if your jokes are funny. Well, you already know that your jokes have been proven to be funny doing monotone and straight face. So you got the
Oh,
battle already
maybe,
won.
maybe I'll try that out someday.
Yeah. I don't come out and sit down because I feel like it's kind of, to me, that I tried it one time, but I just don't really like sitting down. I feel like that they deserve to see me standing up. I like,
Well, that's why it's called stand-up comedy.
yeah, there we go. It's stand up.
That's sit-down comedy.
Yeah. Well, would you tell everybody as we get to the end of this time together, and thank you once again for coming on here today and sharing your life with us and some tidbits. We've gotten some really good tidbits out of you. Please tell everybody where they can see you perform, any place that's coming up, as well as in July, and where to follow you on the interwebs.
I'm Stephen J. Springer on Facebook. It's Stephen J. Springer, one word, on Instagram. And I'm at the Laugh Factory every third Sunday of the month in my old timer show. It's called the Early Bird Special, Geezers of Comedy. All comedians 55 and older. And I played zanies in different bar shows. And, I post it all on Facebook and Instagram.
Absolutely. So that's where to follow you. And when's your very next show coming up?
My next big show, I'm not including open mics to practice, but my next big show is Saturday, March 18th at the Bottle Shop in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And that's my next big one, a week from Saturday.
Wonderful. What's the weather like in Chicago lately today?
30s. It's not that bad. It'll be nicer in July when you come.
I can't wait. July 16th, Laugh Factory at the 10:30 show.
No, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, my bad.
Well, actually, we'll talk later, but I got another show for you on the night before. That's called the Nasty Show at the Laugh Factory.
Yes, I can do that.
It's not my show, but I know the producer and I'll refer you to her. And you can
Thank
get,
you. Thank you. Yeah, I can do squeaky clean all the way to dirty.
yeah, they're dirty on that show. You gotta be dirty.
I can go
Usually
dirty.
they want you to be clean.
Yes, I can be either. Trust me. Some people go, oh, I'm a clean comic. Okay, well, some places want you to be dirty.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming on, Steven Springer. We'll be in touch about the July 15th as well as the 16th. But you guys, you got to know him. Chicago runs underneath him. You know, Chicago is Chicago because of Steven Springer. And I applaud you for what you're doing to get seniors stage time. That means a lot to me and to a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Thank you for interviewing me. I had a blast.
Absolutely. Come back anytime you want to promote anything for 5 or 10 minutes. If something great comes up and you want to come on, let me know. And I know other people that you can come on their shows and promote it too.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Steven Springer, for all your time and insights.
All right. Thanks again. I'll take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.